Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mr. Hydra, and this is Rust Console Edition. Are you ready for what I have in store for you today? Well, if so, then like, subscribe, and follow me. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the ultimate group-based build for vanilla Rust on console. This is everything you need to wire an entire base for anywhere from 4 to 8 players plus. Um, it's going to take all of the knowledge that I've learned about all of the other power systems and puts them all into one big convenient package. So you can just copy and paste this into your base and you guys will get all of the benefits for this. I'm going to go over each and every part individually right here. I'm going to try and be as brief as possible while explaining as much as possible. Because at this point, if you're building something like this, you should already have some of the basics down. But I am going to go over the name of each part of the system, go over how each one of them works, pros and cons to everything, and we'll go from there. So I'm super excited to show you this, guys, this one, and yeah, I'm all tongue-tied. But yeah, so let's start. So this is our rooftop power collection unit. This is our direct energy drive unit. This is our battery charge and discharge station. This is our electrical tree for our auxiliary power tree. This is and these are considered secondary systems. And this is a 9-turret power system, and this is another 9-turret power system. So we have dual 9 turrets, so we have room for 18 turrets on this. And then at the very end here, I have my automatic base lockdown system because I really hate closing garage doors. So every base I go in, I install this so I never have to close a garage door again. And I will briefly go over this, but if you want to know how this works in detail, you can look at my door automation video, and it'll go into a lot more detail on how this works. But you can copy and paste it from this video, and I'll give you a brief description later on. But that's not why you guys are here. You guys are here for the Hydra Core, which consists of these 3 main components, or the 3 heads of the Hydra, as you would call it. And each one of these things serves a different purpose, but they're all connected together in some way, shape, or form. And at least 2 of the 3 have to be destroyed in order for this power system to be taken down. And in some cases, all 3 systems have to be destroyed in order for the power system to be taken down. And I will explain how that works in just a second. But each one of these pieces is an individual piece and should be treated as an individual piece. So I'm going to go over here. We're going to throw up some walls. And then in the end, I will go and tear down these walls again so you guys can get a very good screenshot of how everything is wired together. But we're going to go over each piece individually, starting with probably the most important piece right here. So in order to run everything here, we're going to need 4 wind turbines. We want to get those 4 wind turbines placed at least 8 to 10 stories off the ground. 10 stories is preferred. That's where you're going to get the most efficiency out of your turbines. And we're going to use 4 of them. We're going to connect those to 2 root combiners, and then those root combiners into a 3rd root combiner. From that root combiner, we're going to go into an electrical branch where it's going to be split out into 2 different directions. So from now on, whenever you see a red line, that is a direct power line. That is the power coming directly from the wind turbines going through this line. And anytime you see a green line, that is the battery charging line. So that is the power running to the batteries to charge the batteries. To configure this branch right here, we're going to set this to 304. And I will explain to you why this is set to 304 in just a little bit, but this is going to be 304. Now, this is going to be your rooftop setup. I highly recommend that you hide this in some honeycomb. So you build this and then you seal it off because you never need to touch it again once you do that. And this is probably the most important piece right here, because once this goes, then this next system becomes completely null and void, and then your battery system will take over, and you'll have 4 hours on your batteries in order to fix and defend whatever it is that's going on at the moment, or that caused you to lose that power. So if you do lose this piece, this will become null and void, your direct power, and your battery will take over, giving you 4 hours of battery power from your 3 batteries. So this is super important. Hide this well, but this is your rooftop power intake system. Sorry, my controller's kind of wonky. All right, so coming into the direct drive power system. Now, anyone who's watched the video on the Hydra Core will have an idea of how this is working, but this was greatly inspired by that. So, but we have two different things going on right now. So, the main thing that we have going on, because again, this is the direct power drive, is we have the main power coming in, that 304, and it's coming into this electrical branch right here, as you can see right here. I'll bring up the little marching ants. Now this electrical branch is set to 299. So we're setting this to 299 because it's going into a memory cell, which is taking one. It's going into the splitter, which is taking one, which is then kicking out 99 power out of each one of these things. Now this right here is powering our secondary systems that I showed you earlier. So that's what's powering all of these, and it's powering them evenly. So that's where the direct power is going, and I'll show you where it ends later on. But that's your direct power drive. It's coming through here, it's going through the memory cell, going down through here, and then it's going into your secondary systems. Now, why do we have a memory cell and a splitter here? So we're sending 299 power out there, which means we have 4 remaining power coming out of here, because this is also eating a power. So the 299 plus this power is 300, and we need 4 more power, which is why we need 304. So that 4 power is being put into the splitter, and then it's being sent out these 3 power outputs. So one of those power outputs is being sent to a blocker in the battery room, which we will get to a little bit later. But these two are the more important ones right here, these 2 wires. So most people already know that the splitter evenly distributes the power out of these power outputs, but what most people don't know is that it doesn't do it simultaneously. It'll actually output power out this one first, then this one, and then this one. It happens so fast that most people think it's simultaneous, but it doesn't. And this was taught to me by Swift Coyote over at Rusticity, so you guys should check them out, link in the description. But but it doesn't. It actually sends power out this first, then this, then this. Now that is actually important in this because it actually interacts with this memory cell here. So when it sends power out this first thing, it's coming up here and it's going into the set button. So because this thing is receiving power, that means we have more than the 299 power that we need to supply everything. We have the 304 power. So because we have our 304 power, we're going to put out that 298 power and we're going to send it out. So that's what this set button does. It turns this output on. Now, while this set button, if you can see here, it's continuously receiving power. So because this is continuously receiving power, it also has priority over these 2 buttons. So even though this button right here is also getting a power, I can push this button as many times as I want and nothing will happen until this stops receiving power. So why is that important? Well, because just like when this receives power first, when this gets power, this also loses power first. So in the amount of time between this losing power and this still having power, it's going to hit this reset button. And when it hits that reset button, it's then going to send the power out this inverted output and out to our batteries. Now, so basically what's happening is if we're producing less than the 304 power, which means all four of our wind turbines are producing less than half power, which is extremely rare, or this means that two of our wind turbines have been blown up and we only have two left, meaning we have just under half power, then that remaining power is going to be sent off into the batteries, charging our batteries. So our batteries will charge and discharge at the same time, which we'll get to in just a second here. But basically, that's the function of this. It's sending direct power out to where we need them to, but then we also added a few extra components to give us that low power state power when we need it. Otherwise, we would have put an OR blocker system here. So this is just the more advanced version of that OR blocker system. Now we have the battery charging and discharging station. So what's going on here? So this right here is our OR switch, and this is where our charging power is coming in, and it is coming in from two sources. So the first main source that's always going to be coming in is going to be our overflow power here. So we're always going to be producing our 304 power. So whatever power we produce above and beyond that, which could be up to 295 power because I have this set up to be at max power, we could be producing 250 more power into that. But we could also be producing as low as 10 or even 0 in the very rare cases. So, but really at the end of the day, this only really matters at the very beginning once you're charging the batteries, because once your batteries are full, they're just going to sit there at full anyway. So you wouldn't even need to charge them. You could lose half your wind turbines and you would still be fine. But anyway, so and then the second place it's coming in is again from the low power source over here. So when this gets to low power, if we lose half our wind turbines, we don't produce enough power, it'll then kick it over into here, um, powering our batteries from this splitter. So as you can see, at max power right now, we're producing 87 power into each one of these batteries, which is pretty much half of what these batteries would actually need if we were to be running them at full capacity and just directly hooking up into them. So instead of getting 4 hours, we're actually going to get 6 hours of battery runtime off of these things. So it's very very robust, this system. But again, with your four wind turbines, that's never really going to happen anyway. These are basically just for show at this point, and just in case these systems get blown up, these will take over for you. So these are purely for backup. They're never really going to be used ever, which is the beauty of this. But so all of that power is being sent through here and then out there. And then I do have another electrical branch in the middle of that with this white wire. And this white wire can do one of two things. So I have my automatic lockdown system built down there at the end, which I recommend that you build in all of your bases because it's going to save you so much time with garage doors. But that's connected to this large battery here. So that lockdown system only needs 20 power, or actually 25 power after the 80% loss, so it needs 25 power. So I actually give this battery 30 power. So the power is always increasing, even though I always have enough power because that lockdown system only needs the max output of 100 for like a second. So I always have that output if I ever need to. Because again, this will just charge up to full and it'll sit there, except this is like really trickle charging. This will take a while to fill. But that's what that's for. Or what you can use this for is you can use this for a RAID battery charging station. So you could set up a three-way splitter, and then you could have three small batteries charging your three small batteries for your turrets. Or you could even hook it up to a medium battery and trickle charge a medium battery. So then that way you have that ready for your RAID base turrets as well. So that's what that's for this white line. It's just for added utility. And then coming from our batteries, it's actually going into these root combiners right here. We're combining all of the power, the 300 power, into um, this blocker right here. And then from the blocker, we're going into this three-way splitter. And this three-way splitter, just like the other three-way splitter right here, is also going out to all of our secondary systems. So that's our two different ways of powering all of our secondary systems. As you can see, we have one live wire and one battery wire. Yeah, and then so this one. So the third line here. So we're producing the 299 power that we need. And then we're also producing the one for this and the four for here. So we're producing the 400 or 304 power that we need to run everything. So everything is good. If we're producing that, um, then we're in a high power state. Everything is good. And um, we have enough power to supply power to this splitter, which is then going to block the blocker. So we have the 305 power, we're powering everything, we don't need the batteries, so we're going to block the power coming from the batteries, and we're doing that with this blocker right here. So as you can see, nothing is coming out. And then only if once we get to a low power state will this become unblocked and allow the batteries to actually power everything. So if this system gets destroyed, then it's not as bad as this one getting destroyed, but it is bad because then your batteries are going to take over. But then we do have this that can take over it. Now, if you have access to this, you can put all of the power into the batteries. And then it's like this never got blown up because we'll be supplying enough power to these the batteries to cover what we're discharging, cover the nighttime losses, that kind of stuff. So if this one does get blown up, then we have access to this, and we can make it so our batteries never discharge. If we don't have access to this, then it's at least going to give us 2 extra hours on our batteries here, or 1 to 2 extra hours on our batteries, so you get 5 or 6 hours to fix your base, and that's a lot better. And then if this gets destroyed, it's as if nothing happened because everything will continue to run off of straight power. So this is really important because it is there for backup in case one of these things do get destroyed. But at the same time, and if it doesn't get destroyed though, then you always have the backup. So this always has to get destroyed, and then this or this has to get destroyed. But this one is worse than this one. So just protect all three of these and you'll be just fine, in my opinion. So now all of this power has to go somewhere. So the first thing that I'm going to recommend that you do um, is you run it to an electrical tree made of these electrical branches. As you can see, we're still running our red main line through everything here, and then this will run all of our auxiliary power. So this will run our heaters, this will run our cameras, this will run our farming equipment, this will run lights, this will run whatever we want this to run. This is the wall to build all of those units on. And we're starting from this electrical tree. And so say we're doing a setup, we're never going to attach back to this electrical tree. We're always just going to start from it and then build the setup. Start from it, build the setup. We're never going to come back to it in the middle of a setup and use it because that's how we're going to efficiently manage all of our power. And in the future, this is how I'm going to be showing you guys all of my power setups. So it'll be starting from here. So get familiar with it. And the next thing you can attach to it, I have two of them here. So I have dual 9 turret setups. And these things are pretty great. So you have 18 turrets plus all of your extra power to do whatever you want with. So the beauty of these things too, and the reason why I have an electrical branch here instead of a switch, is because an electrical branch can only be configured and accessed by people with TC access. They can be configured even if you're not holding the wire tool in your hand. And they're very, very simple to configure, especially if you're running 9 turrets off your battery. So for here, because the cursor is already on 0, and we want to do as little movement as possible, we'll leave it on 0, and we're just going to increase the power to 200. So we're going to push X twice, and then we're going to hold X to confirm it. And now all of our turrets just turned on. And then if we want to turn this off, we're going to go to Configure, and then we're going to hit Circle to erase everything, and then we're going to hold X to confirm. And what that's going to do is it's going to change it to default 2, right? And 2 isn't enough power to run your turrets, so all of your turrets are going to turn off. And then you can go change your ammo, authorize your friends, and then when you have to turn it back on, you simply add 2 more zeros and confirm. And now all of your turrets are back on. So super simple, erase, hold X, add 2 zeros, hold X. Erase, hold X, add 2 zeros, hold X. And that's how you control over your turrets. And then you have 2 of those set up. And then last but not least, we have the base lockdown system. So if you want a more detailed description of how this works and everything like that, please go check out my door automation video. I also have smaller versions of this setup. They act in different ways, but I believe this is the best one and the most griefer-proof one and will allow you to open the most amount of doors. So, but in a nutshell, basically what's happening is this timer is going to be set to a time of your discretion. My favorite is 57 minutes, and you're going to count that in seconds. So it's 57 times 60, and that's how many seconds you're going to put in. Put in odd numbers, not even numbers, and don't go for more than 2 hours or less than 45 minutes, because that's going to help with griefing. And that's pretty much your window. I find around an hour is perfect. So what's going to happen is that timer is going to go off. And when it does, it's going to activate this timer, which is going to which is going to open all of your closed doors, but then close all of the doors. So it's going to lock down your entire base. So never put these on the outside of your base. You always want these on the interior doors. And I really only recommend you put them on garage doors. That's really only where it's useful. So what you can do is you can go around, you can open up all of your garage doors and never have to worry about closing them behind you ever. And then every 57 minutes they will all close. So every hour you have to open up your garage doors, which is a lot better than opening and closing everything. Um, and then it's only active, by the way, while the base is active. So this timer right here, you're going to put in a location that's like hidden and deep in your base near your TC. And this laser you're going to put near your entrance and exit, your main most used one. So then that way, um, when somebody hits it and triggers it, then the system becomes active. You can see that both those red lights are off. And then if I was to activate this, all of our doors just triggered, and then now our lockdown system just triggered. But now we have a green light on here. So now if I was to hit this again, nothing would happen. So you can't really grief it unless you have access to both the laser and this. Right, so you hit the laser, it's active, and then it works. So you put this laser near your front door, so if one of your clan members hops on to do a little bit of a farm, he runs out the front door, He triggers the laser, he comes back in, he forgets a door or two. Well, it doesn't matter because everything's going to get locked down behind him anyway. Um, the other way that you can prevent griefing with this system is the very first door on your path, because you can daisy chain doors. And by the way, you can fit 75 or 76 doors on this, if I'm not mistaken. But you put your very first door on the door closest to the outside. So if somebody's raiding in and this door controller is on the second door on their way in, well, when they raid that door, it's going to blow up the door controller, and it's going to make all of the other door controllers behind it no longer work. See, there you go, it just triggered. So it's going to make all of the other door controllers behind it no longer work, making the whole system not functional, even if they did manage to get to this and the laser. And by that time, you're going to want to have a sleeping bag in front of it anyway. So by the time you know that you're being raided, you can come in here and manually activate it, um, and then it's destroyed, so you don't ever have to worry about it being griefed anyway. So that's the lockdown system. I'll quickly go over some configuration values. There's actually only two that you have to change, and it's going to be this left one and this top left one. So this is going to be set to 8, and this is going to be set to 5. And that's it. Everything else is default 2 that you can see here. So yeah, so you want each one of these set up in a different spot in your base. You want this one up on your roof and hidden in some honeycomb. You want this one by your TC. You want this one in its own battery room. You can fit all 4 batteries in here. You put them long ways against the wall, and you can fit all 4 of them in here. And if you put this, I only have it set up this way to have it organized, but if you put it straight up and down through the middle, you'll have full access to everything, so you can wire everything up while it's in here. And then you have the option of either hooking up an electrical tree or your turret systems. You can have 3 turret systems. You can have 2 electrical trees and a turret system. You can hook up really whatever you want to them, so long as it starts with this OR switch right here. And then for the end here, let's get rid of all of this stuff for you. So then that way you guys can get a full view of how everything here is connected together. So I'll just stand here real quick for you guys. You guys can get a nice good view. So again, red is your main power line. Green is your charging line. White is your auxiliary power line. Yellow is your component line, like for your memory cell. Blue is your power discharge line, so your power coming from your batteries. And orange line is for blocking. We're going to configure this branch right here to be 304. We're going to configure this branch right here to be 299. We're going to configure this branch right here to be 30. And that's all the configuration values that you guys need for this setup. These are the 2 main secondary systems that you're going to be setting up to it. Again, it doesn't really matter what you set up to this so long as you start with your OR switch, but I highly recommend that if you're going to do your 9 turrets, that you set up this system right here. And if you're going to do anything other than straight turrets, that you set up an electrical tree and set up each system individually from a different branch on your electrical tree. And finally, if you're going to be setting up this system, enjoy it. I love this thing. This saves me so much time and headache, and I never have to worry about basemates leaving a door open. I never have to close anything behind me. It's wonderful. So definitely 100% use it. I'll give you guys a nice close up of this right here for you, so you guys can get a. There you go. And one final close up view of everything here for you guys. All right. Well, this is pretty much it for most of my power setups. Everything after this is just going to be subscriber requested builds, and it's all going to be built off of these electrical trees right here. I'm also going to be moving into the farming builds here soon, so we can get all of your farms going, stuff like that, get you guys growing your crops. And lastly, I'm going to be doing, I'm still working on my hotel, and I'm also working on my exploding base, the self-destructing base that completely crumbles apart and leaves people with absolutely no loot. So yeah, it's something I'm really looking forward to. But thank you guys all for watching. This has been the final episode of my professional power copy and paste series. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you have any more questions, comments, please don't hesitate to look at any of my previous playlists. I have like 30 videos now in my electricity playlist, so chances are I've already answered something for you guys in there. And otherwise, you can always message me on Facebook. I'm happy to see you guys there, message you guys there, Mr. Rusty Hydra. And as always, you guys can just message me in the Facebook or in the YouTube comment section. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Appreciate it. Bye.